Good day. It's JJ MMA. Today, we are going to be breaking down the UFC Fight Night Fiziev versus Torres card that will be taking place in Baku, Azerbaijan this weekend, starting with the early prelims and ending with the main event. And this is a pretty decent card. I would expect it to be way better because usually these Middle Eastern, European, Asian, whatever you want to call it, usually these international cards are a bit better, but it's not very stacked with talent. As you can see, the opening prelim, we don't even have a picture for any of our fighters, so we're going to have to switch over to Tapology for a second right here. Just overviewing the card, we got some decent names on here. We got two ranked fights. Yeah, I think it's only two ranked fights on the card. I would expect more from this, but, the UFC just went to the White House, so why am I complaining? We're going to start off with the first prelim of the night. Tahir Abdullayev, hopefully I'm saying that right, versus Jefferson Nascimento. These guys are not 0-0. It is their debuts, and apparently Jefferson Nascimento is countryless, but he's from Brazil. We got the records right here. I know it might maybe a little hard to see them, but Tahir Abdullayev, however you say it, is 21-3, representing Azerbaijan, which is how he probably got on the card, let's be honest. And then Jefferson Nascimento, who is a 13-0 undefeated Brazilian. I think that Jefferson Nascimento is going to pull this one off because, you look at the competition here. Jefferson Nascimento, we go to his Tapology page. He's fought in LFA and has won 6 fights. Out of his 6 fights, he's undefeated. He seems to be a finisher, body kick finish here in round 4. So he can, he seems like his cardio is able to hold up. Also recently as well. So he's taken this. It looks like he's taken this on like less than a month's notice. So props to him for sure. And then you look over here with Tahir Abdullayev, however you say the kid's name. He's fought in UAE Warriors, so another decent promotion, but he is 2-2 there. So hasn't fought the best competition. Jefferson Nascimento is undefeated also with a competition advantage in the LFA, 13-0. And, I've watched tape as well. He's pretty good. He's crafty, but I think Abdullayev is a pretty tough. He's a tough guy. He's going to be a tough out for Nascimento in this one. And I think that Nascimento is probably going to end up winning this one by decision, just outpointing Abdullayev. I think that's how this one's going to go down. I don't have the best perspective on this one, so I can't get really into the X and O's of this one. But Jefferson Nascimento by decision is probably the pick here. Almost even odds, but, I would favor, just like the odds, I would favor Jefferson Nascimento here. We move on to the next fight up the card. Oh, they do have pictures, actually. We move on to the next fight up the card. Beksat Almakhan. Dude, we'll talk about it in a second. Beksat Almakhan versus Gene Matsumoto. I know Gene Matsumoto has a pretty record, 17-2. I don't know, there's something pleasing about that record. The same record as Van, man. You know what I'm saying? Beksat Almakhan's crafty. He is 1-2 in the UFC, but he's very crafty. And, dude, the 2 losses that he's had in the UFC have been matchups of doom. They gave him Umar Magomedov when he wasn't ranked. They gave him Umar, and he took Umar to decision. And then he beat Brad Katona. Fair enough. He beat him by KO. That's what you should be doing. If you're, a talent like Beksat Almakhan, in my opinion. But, nonetheless, a nasty KO scored by Beksat Almakhan, to my knowledge. And then right after that, they give him Alexandre Topuria in Qatar last year. Alexandre Topuria and Umar Magomedov are these guys' 2 losses. Is this guy's 2 losses in the UFC? And he didn't really look that badly out of place in either one. Like, yes, Alexandre Topuria kind of schooled him a little bit. But that's kind of expected, man. Alexandre Topuria is very, very good, and not just because of the Topuria name. It's because he is just very good. He's more technical than Ilya, I feel like. He's not chasing the KO as much. When he knocks you down, like, he's not emptying the gas tank immediately and trying to kill you. He's just, really picking his shots, and he's very selective. And I like that about Alexandre Topuria, but never mind. This ain't an Alexandre Topuria glaze session. We'll get to that when he books a fight next, which I don't know when that's going to be. Considering he probably has to help his brother out with some things right now. Gene Matsumoto, on the other hand, he's pretty good. Both of his losses are in the UFC, both by very close split decisions. One of them was to Rob Font. Rob Font, Rob Font proved to be crafty then, but I think all the craftiness is left to Rob Font as of recent. Nearly finished by David Martinez, probably should have been finished had Dan Mergliato not been a dumb meathead idiot. And then, who else did? and then Raul Rosas Jr. Rob Font lost to. We're talking about Rob Font here. Rob Font lost to Raul Rosas Jr. Just held him down, threw up arm aplatas for some reason. It's just zero fight IQ. But Gene Matsumoto, he's good. He's a good technical striker. Well-rounded, stocky build, 5'6". Got a great reach, for a Brazilian dude. Not discriminating against any Brazilian dude's reach, but like for his build, like this guy looks like, and for the stereotype, he looks like he's probably got just like little short stocky arms, like a pit bull build. But he's got long arms, he's got a long reach, and that plays into how technical he is with the striking. Bekzat Almakhan, on the other hand, man, Bekzat Almakhan's good, bro. I watch this guy's fights, and he always comes in and he looks like, he's like switched on, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was watching his fight against Brad Katona. He looked really good in there, and he didn't look out of place with Alexandre Topuria nor Umar Nurmagomedov as well. I think he's probably going to get this one. I don't think he's going to KO Gene Matsumoto. Gene Matsumoto is pretty defensively responsible, tough guy. Definitely a tough guy to get out. Like, I could see it happening, though. I could see Bekzat Almakhan putting this guy's lights out. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think that Bekzat Almakhan's just probably going to outpoint him, stay technical, stay composed. And I think that he's going to win a pretty, not a close, but a pretty dominant 29-28 decision. I do think Matsumoto will probably take a round off him via grappling or something. But Bekzat Almakhan, very good striker. I think that he's going to win this one by decision by simply outpointing Gene Matsumoto, maybe hurting him in moments. I think he'll probably bust up his face because Bekzat Almakhan is good. He's got great boxing. Do we move on to the next fight up the card? Daniil Donchenko versus Theodor Berggren. Now, Theodor Berggren is also not 0-0. He's actually 8-3, Swedish prospect. We don't even have to pull up Topology for this one because I know my ball knowledge. Daniil Donchenko, I believe he was the Ultimate Fighter winner last year. And he recently had a UFC fight. Not recently, but I think at the end of last year, he had a UFC fight. And his opponent looked like a guy that he should get out of there. Hold on, I'll check who was, I think Alex Morano. I think that's was first. Yeah, Alex Morano. This guy's 24-13. And I just watching that fight, there were multiple moments where Donchenko could have finished Alex Morano, but he ended up getting busted up himself. Like Daniil Donchenko had a lot of visible damage on his face. Frustrating fight to watch, knowing that Daniil Donchenko probably could have gotten this guy out of there if he had just pushed and looked for the finish more and been more selective and just. Like he wasn't looking for the finish much, you know what I'm saying? Like it felt like he gassed early, and then he was getting tapped up a little bit. Like, yes, he was winning the fight and he did win the fight for sure, but he had way too close of a fight and he let Alex Morano back in it. So I don't like that from Daniil Donchenko's part. However, Theodor Berggren is a short notice opponent. Daniil Donchenko was supposed to fight Andreas Gustafsson, but Andreas Gustafsson has heart issues right now, so I think he's off the UFC roster. Hopefully he gets better. Hopefully he gets his situation all sorted out before he even thinks about his return to fighting. But Theodor Berggren, I've watched this guy's tape. He's all right, man, but he's a short notice opponent. Hasn't fought great competition on the Swedish regional scene. You don't really get good competition on the Swedish regional scene. And Daniil Donchenko has trained with DC. He's a winner of the Ultimate Fighter. I just think that he's going to experience Max, and I think that's the way that he's going to beat Theodor Berggren by mogging him with his experience. And I think that he's going to be able to find the finish this time. He's taking some time off, taking some quality time off probably. Hold on, I don't think you guys can see it. Yeah, there you go. Trying to get that little tab down. But Daniil Donchenko, he seems like he's going to be able. I just have this feeling that he's going to be able to finish Theodor Berggren by now. I think he's going to get it done by KO in the first round. Theodor Berggren, he's not like a guy that's there to be chinned, but at the same time, I just feel like Daniil Donchenko is just so much better and has so much more experience that he's just going to mog him in that way, and he's going to get it done in round 1 by KO. We move on to the next fight up the card. Khan Ofli versus Javier Reyes. Dude, Javier Reyes, his last fight, bro, it's like Herb Dean stops it. Like, he's pounding away, like, with little tiny ground and pound shots that are, like, not hurting his opponent, who's 41 years old, by the way. 41 years old, and Javier Reyes, like, probably shouldn't have been a KO. Like, he was probably going to get it done in round 2, probably. But, because he had visible damage on his opponent's face, like Douglas Silva de Andrade, I think that's his name. And he was 41 years old, man. and that was in Mexico City in February, late February. He didn't look that great, man. You know what I'm saying? With like, I guess Colombia is not very close to Mexico. Never mind. I was about to say he had the home turf advantage. Con Ofli, on the other hand, Con Ofli's crafty for sure. Con Ofli's a hard guy to finish too. Has he been finished in the UFC? I feel like he has. He's also a Turkish guy. I don't know why he says he's representing Australia. He's beat Yija in his last fight. Pretty crafty win. Submitted this Ramos dude. So he's been beaten by KO TKO one time by the Santos Alves dude right here. Excuse me. I just don't think that Javier Reyes is going to be able to get this one done by a finish. I feel like Javier Reyes is going to get fraud checked, man. Like the guys that Con Ofli is training with, whatever gym he's at, whether it's an Australian gym, whether it's a Turkish gym, I don't know what it is, but it's better than, I feel like it's just better than Javier Reyes' competition that he's faced on the regional scene coming up. Javier Reyes, he's got a nice record too. 23-5 is a nice record, but at the same time, like looking at his fights compared to Con Ofli's, wait a second. Now something's caught my eye. Look at this. 66-inch reach compared to 73. So he's got a big reach advantage, which he didn't have that big of a reach advantage in the fight against Douglas Silva de Andrade, who is 41 years old, by the way, also. But I feel like Con Ofli's, dude, like just looking at builds, I feel like you can almost tell off of builds here. Like he's got more torso, and he's got like a stronger torso, and I'm pretty sure he's a known grappler, right? Dude, I'm just like 7% takedown accuracy. Dude, I swear I thought Con Ofli was a grappler for a second, but I just remembered his Yija fight. I'm all scrambled up in the brain today. Sparring's done a toll on me, but dude, Con Ofli, I feel like he's just gonna outpoint Javier Reyes to a decision. I could see a finish here, but I just feel like Con Ofli's probably just gonna outpoint Javier Reyes to a decision. Fraud check him. He's a decent striker. Utilizes his kicks well. I feel like, dude, I just feel like Con Ofli is just gonna fraud check Javier Reyes, and he's gonna outpoint him. I don't know why. I haven't watched much tape on this one. I know I've watched Con Ofli's fights before. I've watched him fight Yija. I've watched him fight on some other cards, some other international cards, and I definitely watched Javier Reyes, who didn't look that good in his win against Douglas Silva de Andrade. So yeah, I think Con Ofli's probably gonna win this one by decision. Not a lock though. Javier Reyes could take it. I just don't think he's that good. He's not that great of a prospect. Oh my gosh, my dog's freaking out. Anyways, we move on to the next fight up the card. Nurulstin Ruziboev versus Andre Pulyaev. Pulyev's crafty, man. He was able to survive a Gautier. He's been able to survive some power punchers. I think that he's lost to another guy by decision. Oh yeah, CLD. Yeah, Christian Leroy Duncan. He survived against CLD. Who is known for also putting people out. Couldn't put out Roman Dolidze, but badly dropped him. I'm pretty sure he did, right? Or was that Dolidze put? Never mind, doesn't matter. But both these guys got pretty big frames. Both guys are lanky middleweights. Like to be pretty kick heavy. They don't have big leg reaches. It doesn't look like they have the biggest leg reaches, but at the same time, they're very long in the arms, very lanky. 76-inch reach compared to a 78.5-inch reach for Andre Pulyaev. And Andre Pulyev's crafty, man. He's able to, use his length. He's able to control the distance. He throws his jab out there well. Crafty light kicks. Andre Pulyaev has crafty light kicks. I think he used those a lot against Gautier, if I'm not mistaken. But Nurulstin Ruziboev, before his big layoff, he was doing great in the UFC as well. I believe he's only lost once in the UFC too. And he lost to a pretty good opponent, am I right? Yeah, Joaquin Buckley. He lost to Joaquin Buckley. That's his only loss in the UFC. Was able to put away Eric Mechanico, which I rate pretty decently. Dustin Stoltzfus, I feel like he should probably be finishing that one. That one was in the Apex. You should be finishing Sadykhov Dumas. But then he finished Bruno Ferreira, which that was his first fight in the UFC, and he finished Bruno Ferreira 3 years ago, so a different version of Bruno Ferreira from my knowledge. But Nurulstin Ruziboev, he's crafty, he's good as well. I feel like Andre Pulyaev might be craftier, though, you know what I'm saying? I just feel like Andre Pulyaev, like Nurulstin Ruziboev is not like this marauder, like he's going to knock you out with one punch type of guy. Like his knockout wins are over. Bruno Ferreira, fair, that's fair, I'm saying fairs. But then there's, it's Sadykhov Dumas, man. Like that's his other KO win in the UFC, and if I'm not mistaken. He doesn't have it. Oh yeah, Eric McConaughey. I forgot about Eric McConaughey. So that's pretty decent. Andre Pulyaev, he's really good at neutralizing power punchers though. But Nurulson Ruziboev is not a power puncher. He's just like a techie guy, who will fight you on the outside. So I think that Nurulson Ruziboev is probably going to get this one done by decision. It'll be very close though. Andre Pulyaev is decent, but I think that Nurulson Ruziboev is just a touch better. Only loss in the UFC has been to Joaquin Buckley by decision as well. Nurulson Ruziboev is a tough guy to finish, but Andre Pulyaev is really good at just like kind of length maxing and working his way to a decision and, busting up his opponents with jabs and leg kicks. So, that could be a way to victory for Andre Pulyaev, but I don't think that's going to happen because Ruziboev is going to be defensively responsible. And he's going to know how to counter that. I think that it's going to be a very close decision, but I think that Nurulson Ruziboev is going to get it done. We move on to the next fight up the card. We got two more prelims left to break down. Abdulrahman Yakhyaev versus Julius Walker. Yakhyaev just recently fought on an Apex card. I think he fought on the Moicano versus Duncan card. Or maybe, was it that one? Wait a second. I think it was the Aljo card. No, never mind. It was the Moicano card. He fought Brenson Ribeiro on there, is a pretty easy opponent stylistically for Abdulrahman Yakhyaev. He's got all finishes. He got 100% finish rate, I believe, in his career. Lots of submissions, lots of KOs. Julius Walker seems like, a pretty chinny guy from what I've seen. He can be dropped. He can be finished for sure. And Abdulrahman Yakhyaev has nasty striking. He has better grappling, I'd say, so he could probably just like take down Julius Walker and submit him if he wanted to. But I feel like I feel this fight's just gonna be so easy for him that he's gonna get it done on the feet. I feel like Abdulrahman Yakhyaev, I just feel like there's no way he loses this one. And it's just like, I feel like he can keep him on the outside and then just maybe step in with a 1-2 and put him out that way. I feel like he can just style on him and beat him whatever way he wants to. Is it going to be by submission? I don't think so. He got pulled into kind of a situation with Brenson Ribeiro, which resulted in him clinching, which resulted in him getting Brenson Ribeiro's back and getting the rear naked choke. So I don't think that situation is really going to happen with Julius Walker. I think that this is going to be a striking battle to start. Yakhyaev is probably going to bait him in with something, and then he's going to catch him on the chin. Or maybe it's just like a 3-2, and then he just knocks him out with a straight punch, like an absolute brutal, like Golden Freddy type KO against the cage. I could see that happening. I can see maybe they clinch for a second and an elbow off the break. I could see a lot of things happening here for Abdulrahman Yakhyaev, but I'm going to go KO in the first round. First round's a lock, I'd say. KO, maybe not such a lock because I could definitely see him submitting Julius Walker. And my picks have been wrong about methods of winning recently. But I'd say Abdulrahman Yakhyaev wins this one by KO in the first round. We move on up the card. Farman Hasanov versus Eric Nolan. He's not 0-0. He is 5-0. He's an Azerbaijani prospect. He's pretty decent. He's fought in the LFA, I'm pretty sure. Wait, has he fought in the LFA? Let me check. I'm pretty sure he has. Yeah, he's fought in the LFA. He's 3-0 in the LFA, so pretty good competition. He's been going up against two guys who were undefeated. And two guys, I've watched some tape on some of his LFA fights, and yeah, he looks pretty good. He was able to get some weird doctor stoppage win at the end of the first round in his most recent fight. Eric Nolan, on the other hand, is kind of just like, he's kind of just there, bro. One of the guys in the UFC that's kind of just there, man. And I feel like Farman Hasanov is going to be able to seize this opportunity in Azerbaijan. Eric Nolan's really not going to have much motivation. I'm going to get into the mental aspect of this one because, I don't know why Eric Nolan's plus 145 here. I feel like Farman Hasanov, even though he hasn't fought the best competition, like LFA is not the best guys. LFA is not as good as like some other promotions, but LFA is still something. And he's undefeated, and he's fought two guys that were undefeated before he fought them, and he beat them. So he's good, man. He's definitely good. Got good striking. I feel like he's gonna beat Eric Nolan. I just feel like it's gonna happen to Eric Nolan. He's gonna get slimed out again. Eric Nolan's last fight. Eric Nolan's kind of tough though. He's kind of tough on the chin. But his last fight against Baysengur Susakrayev, his last fight against Baysengur Susakrayev, he was like kind of weathering the storm of Susakrayev on 6 days' notice, to be fair, to Susakrayev. But Dude, he was like doing pretty well against Ruziboev. He was toughing it out a little bit, but then I think he got dropped, and then he was just like getting ground and pounded. And then Ruziboev was on his back against the cage, and he ended up getting the rear naked choke. I believe it was a rear naked choke win. It was either a face crank or rear naked choke win for Ruziboev, but it was something like that, some type of submission for Ruziboev that ended up beating Eric Nolan in his most recent fight. I think that Hasanov is just good, though. I think that he's good, but I don't think that he's going to be able to finish Eric Nolan. Eric Nolan's a really tough guy, tough mentally. But at the same time, I don't think that he's willing to seize this opportunity as much as Farman Hasanov is. And Farman Hasanov has had good competition. He's had good fights. You know, he's been in some, you know, some tough situations in this fight. I think that he's going to be able to beat Eric Nolan, and whatever Eric Nolan throws at him, I think he's going to be resilient in the storm, and I think that he's going to win this one by decision. I don't think he'll get a finish here because Eric Nolan is a tough dude, and he's not as good as Bison versus Yakhyaev. So I think Farman Hasanov is going to win this one by decision. We move on to the main card. Abbas Magomedov versus Michel Oleksiejczuk. I think that Michel Oleksiejczuk has done a great job building back his career. He's got 3 wins in a row, but when you look at those 3 wins in a row, man, it's... his most recent win was, I know he beat GM3. His most recent win was Marc-Andre Barriault, which was like, it was actually like kind of a war, which you shouldn't, like, if you really made that much improvement in your career and you're really a high level middleweight, you shouldn't be going to war with Marc-Andre Barriault, in my opinion. Marc-Andre Barriault's not a very high level guy. I believe he's also on this card, if I'm not mistaken. Is he on this card? Never mind, he's not. I was thinking about him fighting Shara Magomedov last year. But he's definitely done a great job improving his career, going to train with the Fighting Nerds. But his most recent wins are Marc-Andre Barriault, GM3, and Cedricus Dimas. I mean, it's just, he's not fighting the highest level guys. And before that, like, he's on a 3-fight win streak. Before that, he was losing consistently in the UFC. I believe he's like 7-5 in the UFC, but he was like a journeyman in the UFC, like win 1, lose 1, win 1, lose 2, you know, like that type of guy. That was Michel Oleksiejczuk until he turned around his career, but he's been given really good matchups, and Abbas Magomedov is the first real test for him, and he should be this big of a favorite because he's good. You know, he's good. Don't let the Joe Piper loss distract you. Don't let getting finished by Strickland, because those are good losses to have on your record. Like, it's okay to be finished by Strickland, man. Like, it's just, that's what happened to Anthony Hernandez. Yes, in a different way, because Anthony Hernandez is chinny to the body. Abbas Magomedov just straight up got chinned against the fence, I'm pretty sure. Unless that, I'm thinking of Brennan Allen, maybe. But Abbas Magomedov did get finished by Strickland in the Apex. And then, you know, he got rear naked choked by Joe Piper. And Abbas Magomedov was supposed to be like this Dagestani grappler, man. You're getting rear naked choked by Officer Joe Piper. Big man, big body bags, big Officer Piper, big Joe Piper, Philly Joe Piper. He's getting rear naked choked by Philly Joe Piper, man. Speaking of Joe Piper, I wonder who he's going to fight on the Philly card, if he's even going to be on there, because Kyle Bahalio's out. And apparently that fight was happening. That's old news, but, you know, I just thought about that with Joe Piper because I said Philly Joe Piper. But you know, regardless, Abbas Magomedov, he's got good back takes. He's got good jiu-jitsu. He's got the Dagestani style of grappling. And Michel Oleksiejczuk doesn't deal with the grappling well. You know, he's lost a few times by submission, by rear naked chokes. I believe some arm bars he's got submitted with. Lost a decision to Shara Magomedov. He got submitted, I think, with an armbar by Kevin Holland here. Submitted by Michel Paella, who's also on this card. Submitted by Kyle Bahalio by rear naked choke. I remember that one. So he's been finished in his career, and is training with the Fighting Nerds really going to improve your grappling that much? Like, the Fighting Nerds are known for striking, man. I just don't think that Michel Oleksiejczuk's done the improvements necessary to win a fight like this, to win a high-level fight like this, where he's going to have his grappling tested. And I think that Abbas Magomedov is going to seize that opportunity, and it's going to take him a second. But I think late in round 1, he will get this one done by a submission finish. I think that he's going to finish him with a rear naked choke, I'd say. I think he's going to take his back. Michel Oleksiejczuk's going to be mounted. He's going to turn his back, try to posture up. Abbas Magomedov is going to dig the hooks. He's going to get the body triangle. And I think that he's going to submit Michal Oleksiejczuk with the rear naked choke in round 1. Late into round 1, could be round 2. But there you go. We move on to the next fight of the card. We got 6 fights on this main. Yeah, we got 6. We're back to 6 fights on the main card. Okay, Ikram Aliskerov versus Bruno Ferreira. Both guys are outside of the middleweight rankings. Bruno Ferreira was recently ranked. So was Ikram. I think Ikram Aliskerov was recently ranked at middleweight. He's ranked in the new meta rankings, but I don't really want to count those unless we're talking about leaving out Yair or leaving out Derek Lewis from the rankings. But Ikram Aliskerov, he's good, man, and so is Bruno Ferreira. Both guys are good. Bruno Ferreira's got great striking, but you look at all 3 of Bruno Ferreira's losses, and they're all by finish. And they're to Gregory Rodriguez, who is not even a middleweight. He's a light heavyweight. But, you know, Bruno Ferreira did beat Gregory Rodriguez before, but Gregory Rodriguez has made, a lot of improvements, more selective with his shots. And, you know, that loss to Gregory Rodriguez by KO was only 3 months ago. So Bruno Ferreira's making a pretty quick turnaround after being brutally slimed out by Gregory Rodriguez at the UFC 326 Holloway Oliveira card. Ikram Aliskerov, on the other hand, hasn't fought in a while. And it feels like he's been in the UFC for a long time, but he's only had 5 fights in the UFC. But in the UFC, his only loss is a short notice loss to Robert Whittaker. And Bruno Ferreira is not nearly as high level, in my opinion, as Robert Whittaker. It's a lot easier to KO Robert Whittaker because he's chinnier. But is Robert Whittaker, is Bobby Knuckles that much chinnier than Bruno Ferreira? Because Bruno Ferreira has been chinned a few times. Let's see, who else has he been chinned by? I forget, man. People forget, man. Abbas Magomedov submitted him, and then who's also on this card. I think that, dude, Abbas Magomedov's good. He's gonna beat Michal Oleksiejczuk in my opinion. And then he's been KO'd by Ruziboev earlier in his career, who we just talked about. So I think that, dude, I don't know if it's gonna be a finish. I think that this fight's gonna be a finish no matter who wins. No, holy shit, my dog scared the crap out of me, man. Heart jumped. I wonder what she's barking at. But Ikram Aliskerov, you know, he's a finisher. Bruno Ferreira, you know, he's got finishes on his record as well. Great knockout power. I think that Ikram Aliskerov is going to finish him one way or the other, whether it's a submission, oh my gosh, will my dog actually shut the frick up? Ikram Aliskerov, I think he's going to submit him. I think that this could be a grappling-based TKO, but I think that Aliskerov is going to go for a shot early. I think he's going to get it. Bruno Ferreira he doesn't seem to deal with shots that well. It doesn't seem to deal with the wrestling that well. I think that Ikram Aliskerov is going to build into a clinch position. He's going to get the body lock, hook the leg, Dagestani style. Dude, this guy actually looks like a Timu Islam Makhachev. It's just hitting me, man. It's like the beard and the cut is just like something with the eyes and the build that looks off. And he's a middleweight too. So I feel like Ikram Aliskerov is going to take him down for sure. And this is either going to be a ground and pound based TKO or submission in round 1. In the case that it's a ground and pound based TKO, I think it's going to take a little while. I would say later into round 2, I could see a ground and pound based TKO here from Ikram Aliskerov. And you know what? I think that he's probably going to get it done by submission in round 1. Another rear naked choke submission, 2 in a row on the card for Ikram Aliskerov. I think that's what's going to happen. There you go. We move on to the next fight of the card. The first ranked fight of the card, Almabayev versus Charles Johnson. Charles Johnson is also very crafty, and he's got that fluke ability, man. That's the one thing about Charles Johnson. You know, he fluked Van, obviously the current champion. Not the real champion. Wait for Pantoja. He's the real champion. I'm kidding. He's beat Pereira. You know, he's beat Roy Valley. He's got great wins. I can call him a real champion, and I like Van too. His style's sick. You know, Charles Johnson has also beat Loner Kavanaugh, who's very good. Loner Kavanaugh was beating him the whole fight, and then just a stupid mistake, exits the clinch with his chin wide up in the air, and he gets chinned that way. So Charles Johnson has that fluke ability about him, but, you know, you can't have that fluke ability without some type of precision, without some type of sharpness in your head. And that's why Manel Kape is also able to fluke a lot of guys. And Manel Kape also fluked Almabayev along with Kyoji Horiguchi, and that's Almabayev's only loss in the UFC. Almabayev, not quite the finisher. He did, I believe he finished Bruno Silva with a nice guillotine or something like that. So he's got a good submission game, but he's not the guy that's going to absolutely cold you on the feet, especially at flyweight. But he is good. He's very good for sure. He's underrated. He's 6-1 in the UFC with the loss to Manel Kape in the third round, where he got like eye poked with a 3-piece combo, by the way. I mean, dude, it's just Manel Kape, Ciryl Gane. They keep getting away with it, and they keep winning, man. I hate this. I absolutely hate this, man. Ciryl Gane more so, because Ciryl Gane's a terrible person. Like, I can bear with Manel Kape, even though I think he's probably roided up. And it's real interesting how USADA hasn't tested Manel Kape, by the way. You know, like maybe those titties are there for a reason. Maybe we should start testing USADA. Why are we letting him get away with this? Fluked my Horiguchi, man. Dude, come on. For Gucci gang, bro. Asu Almabayev needs the rematch with Kape, man. I'm kidding. He's number 9 ranked. I'd say if Asu Almabayev wins this, we'll give him Moreno. Probably for like a UFC Noche card in September. He can probably make the turnaround. Because I think that I don't think he's going to get hit much by Charles Johnson here. I think that he's going to have the striking defense to be able to evade out of the way. I feel like Charles Johnson, he's probably going to be a tougher guy to take down. I feel like Charles Johnson digs the underhooks quite well. So that's going to be a struggle for Almabayev. Charles Johnson, long, lanky guy for flyweight. He'll be able to dig the underhooks, I feel like, on some of Asu Almabayev's takedowns. But Asu Almabayev is very, very good with the grappling. And not just crafty, but he's just very good with the grappling, man. Very good with his takedown entries, good with his submissions. If Charles Johnson tries any stupid shit, Asu Almabayev probably jump a ghillie, and a good ghillie jump at that. Like, not something that's just going to make lower level guys tap to discomfort, like a real guillotine. And Asu Almabayev is quite good at that. But he does win most of his fights by decision. So I think that he's probably going to beat Charles Johnson by decision, even though I can see a world where Charles Johnson flukes Asu Almabayev. Because Charles Johnson has a lot of power, and this is a different fight with Bruno Silva. Also, by the way, Charles Johnson at the start of the year, coming off a nasty KO loss to Alex Perez, gets right back in there, beats Bruno Silva, but barely. Very close fight with Bruno Silva, whereas Asu Almabayev seemed to make easy work of Bruno Silva. Wait, hold on. Am I thinking about the guillotine win over? Dude, he didn't even fight Bruno Silva. Imagine, dude. People forget, man. JJMMA made up a win out of Asu Almabayev's resume. No, he didn't even fight Bruno Silva. That was Bruno Silva guillotining Hyun-Sung Park. That's what I'm thinking about. I'm actually stupid. I'm thinking about. I think he guillotined Alex Perez. Yeah, I think that was his submission win there. But yeah, I mean, he's good regardless, submitting Alex Perez, whereas Charles Johnson got knocked out by Alex Perez, if we're doing MMA math here. And I think that Asu Almabayev is going to get it done probably by a decision, a unanimous decision at that, probably a 30-27. I don't really see Charles Johnson taking a round off him unless he can fluke him. That's the only way Charles Johnson wins, I think, is if he flukes him here. Yeah, there you go. Asu Almabayev wins this one by decision. We move on up the card. Nazim Sadykhov versus Mateusz Camilo. Mateusz Camilo is not very good, man. He lost to Gabe Green, who is a victim of... Who's he a victim of? Somebody familiar, right? Hold on. I was doing this MMA math a second ago after watching some of Camilo's fights. Beat Borshev, not a very great win, but Gabe Green. Who's Gabe Green a victim of? Brian Battle, yeah, 14-second victim of Brian Battle. That's what I was laughing about. But Brian Battle's, he's serious, man. He's got great KO power. Mateusz Camilo, what I'm trying to prove here is he's one of the Brazilian Chinians. He's a chinny Brazilian, man. And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of chinny Brazilians. He's got that shorter, stockier build. Nazim Sadykhov is very good. Nazim Sadykhov worries me about his tie with Borshev. I'm pretty sure in Nazim Sadykhov's career, he's tied with Borshev. I think that's it. Yeah, he's tied with Borshev. So that's not a very great look. Borshev's a guy that you should be making easy work of. Nazim Sadykhov recently got KO'd by an elbow from Fiziev in December. He's making a comeback after 6 months, and I like that he's waiting it out that long. Nazim Sadykhov, I think he's going to get this one done by a decision. I think that he's going to be able to tap him up with the kicks, the jab, some nice boxing combos. I think that he's going to be able to craft this one up, and I think that'll beat Mateusz Camilo. I think that this is a pretty good style matchup for him. And Mateusz Camilo is probably going to put himself some... Dude, I could see, even though Nazim Sadykhov is a striker, I could see him like pulling off a guillotine or something. I could see a submission here because I don't think Mateusz Camilo in a grappling situation, I don't think it's going to happen much in this fight unless it's clinch initiated. So what the hell am I talking about? So I think that Nazim Sadykhov is going to beat him up in some ways, knee him to the thigh, knee him to the chest in the clinch. Bedtime MMA Max his way to a win. And then he's also going to control the outside well. He's going to, hit Camilo with combos at distance. I can see a really good performance here from Nazim Sadykhov and a 30-27 or a 29-28. Pretty dominant decision win over Camilo. That's what I see happening. We move on to the co-main event. Shara Putin Magomedov versus Michel Pereira. I think that Shara Magomedov is going to get this one done by a brutal KO. Michel Pereira has only, he's been a tough guy. Like, this guy has actually been a tough guy. He's got a chin made straight out of Tel Aviv. I'm kidding, guys. Wonder if he'll pull out the flag after the fight. You know what I mean? He has a history of doing that. But Michel Pereira, he's been a tough guy throughout his career. Funded by the okay, never mind. Can't say that. Can't say that, guys. YouTube administration. I'm just joking. I'm playing a character. Don't come after me. Michel Pereira is a tough guy, though. All jokes aside, Michel Pereira has been a tough guy throughout his career. But recently, what's caught my attention is I've watched back some of his fights, and one that stuck out to me is this performance against Kyle Daukaus. Okay, and Kyle Daukaus is just like, dude, he's not like a very powerful looking guy, man. Like, when you watch Kyle Daukaus strike, it looks like kind of like Rainier de Ritter, man. It's just like, you got knees up the middle, like really slow 1-2 combos, and then like some overhands here and there, which is what Michel Pereira ended up getting knocked out by, was an overhand from Kyle Daukaus. And that was not that long ago. And he got knocked out in 43 seconds. And Shara Magomedov is going to take a little bit of time. So it's a different style matchup than Kyle Daukaus at the same time. But Kyle Daukaus is more flat-footed, whereas Shara Magomedov is, he's got the Soviet style of striking, bounces back and forth light on the feet. But he's got very abstract striking, and I feel like dude, I've seen Michel Pereira sparring with Strickland, and Strickland's trying to, emulate Shara Magomedov's style. Shara Magomedov's style is hard to emulate unless you're, like, very light on the feet and kick heavy, which Strickland isn't, man. Like, I don't think Michel Pereira is going to be correctly prepared for this fight, because Shara Magomedov fights like, and his only loss was to MVP, so this is ironic, but he fights like an MVP who throws output and is like an actual dog, you know what I'm saying? Like, MVP ain't a dog for just fucking going like this at distance, like a coke addict, and just like, oh, throw one strike every 2 minutes, you know what I'm saying? And then he's comfortably up because his distance control is amazing. MVP's a great fighter. I'm not going to take that away from him. But he just plays like a really stupidly annoying game. Like, when he fights, like, he doesn't fight. He just, like, it's like he's playing chess. In the words of Joe, this sounds like something. What a stutter, by the way. It sounds like something Joe Rogan would say. But it's like, man, it's like he's playing chess out there. Sounds like something that Joe Rogan would say about MVP. It looks like he's playing chess out there. People forget, man. MVP's distance management. Oh my gosh, I'm making myself insane. I'm rocking back in this chair as I'm saying this. Dude, I'm turning into Lucas Tracy, dog. But Shara Magomedov, man, he's got this abstract style of striking. It's like he's an MVP with more output and also a lot more power. Dude, MVP can put people out, but he decides not to. He emotes on Jared Cannonier and, like, does an old man stance. He goes like, and he's like holding his back. So fucking annoying, man. I hate MVP. Hope he gets cut by the UFC, man. Too bad, because he's a badass in Bellator. But Shara Magomedov, I think he's going to knock out Michel Pereira. I think he's going to hit him with something abstract, or maybe just a 1-2 down the middle, something simpleton. I feel like that might be able to knock out Michel Pereira. He might be expecting some crazy things from different angles, and that might get him anyways, because he's probably not properly prepared for it, from what I've seen from his camp, from his sparring footage with Strickland. Strickland was like just throwing like jump kicks and all this weird stuff, and that's stuff that like Zabit would throw, not Shara. So I feel like Shara is just gonna get him out of there. I think that he's gonna be able to hit Michel Pereira clean on the chin in round 1 with something he's not expecting. Maybe it's the double spinning back fist or something cute like that, or maybe it's just a simpleton 1-2. Maybe it's just, Shara Magomedov's not a feet-planted overhand type guy, so I don't really see that. But I see something, colorful, maybe some type of spinning back kick, maybe just some, like, front kick or something. I don't know. I see some type of abstract knockout here from Shara Magomedov. I think it's going to be late in round 1, but this could very well go to round 2, you know what I'm saying? And Shara Magomedov, in his last fight against Marc-Andre Barriault, was able to put some steam on him, but Marc-Andre Barriault was able to tough that one out as well. So there's like, dude, Marc-Andre Barriault's a guy who's like chinny, but he's also very tough. So Sean Magomedov put the steam on him. Wasn't able to finish him though. But I think that he'll be able to finish Michel Pereira because it's going to be easier for him to find a clean strike on Michel Pereira's chin because he's less defensively responsible nowadays. And he's going to get caught with the simpleton stuff, like the Soviet-style 1-2, like the jump-in 1-2, where you plant your feet at the end, like right after the jab. I think that's going to happen for Shahar Magomedov. He'll probably knock him out with something down the middle like that, knock him down, knock him out, finish him with ground and pound probably. It'll be a TKO, I think, because Michel Pereira is hard to put out cold. I'd say round 1. And Shahar Magomedov's going to get this one done by KO. We move on to the main event. Rafael Fiziev versus Manuel Torres. Rafael Fiziev, man. It's been nice knowing you. Your time has come. Time has come, Rafael Ataman Fiziev. I feel bad for him, man, because, dude, Manuel Torres, dude, I could be wrong about this. I could be so wrong about this. MMA doesn't make sense anymore. I forget that Justin Rufus Gaethje with the propeller hat, literally just, dude, he just actually, like, not even a fluke, he just, like, beat the shit out of Ilia Topuria. And Sean Strickland, it's a different style matchup. I saw it happening. I didn't predict it, but I saw it happening, low-key. Dude, Sean Strickland just beat undefeated Khamzat Chimaev as well. What world are we living in? MMA doesn't make sense anymore. I should just pick, when it comes to the main event at least, I should just pick Rafael Fiziev off that. And Rafael Fiziev, you know, he's got snappy kicks too, Muay Thai style like that. We haven't really seen Manuel Torres go against that. But at the same time, Manuel Torres is like another Terrence McKinney, like a skinnier Terrence McKinney, who's also better at lightweight. Like a Tom Aspinall. Like, dude, he's like a Tom Aspinall, Mexican Tom Aspinall of lightweight. You know what I'm saying? He's going out there in round 1. He's always looking for a finish no matter what. He usually gets the KO. He's got insane power in his hands. Like, dude, this guy has actually got, like, this guy's one of the most powerful Mexican fighters I've seen since, like, I don't even know when. This guy's probably one of the most powerful Mexican fighters I've ever seen, you know what I'm saying? Like, with the power in his hands. Like, a lot of Mexican boxers and stuff, like, they'll overwhelm you with the volume. But, dude, and, like, walk forward, you know, eat shots, like, that's, like, I'm a Mexican-style boxer. I box with, like, my gym is heavily Mexican-style, and, you know, like, it's just flat-footed, walking forward, a lot of head movement, eating shots, sometimes you take one to give one, but then it's, like, a lot of volume. It's very volume-based, not power-friendly. But at the same time, Manuel Torres is just, like, he's got this different, like, he uses the Mexican style a little bit, but he's light on his feet, you know, MMA stance. But then he just comes out with this, you know, bang and power, man. And he's always knocking these guys out. And, you know, he's doing them bad. Like, good opponents, too, like Grant Dawson and Drew Dober. Drew Dober's very crafty, but, you know, Drew Dober only usually does great against, you know, a certain type of opponent, if you know what I'm saying. That's a lore reference right there. But Manuel Torres, regardless, man, he's a very good fighter, you know. Even though he's kind of just going out there to get the finish, he's calculated with the way that he finishes too, and he always finishes this in round 1. And I think that's what he's going to do to Rafael Fiziev. Rafael Fiziev is a guy who likes fights to be clean. He likes the fight when he's able to snap his body kicks on the outside, when he's able to, you know, really calculate on the outside, when you guys are having a chess match at distance. That's what Rafael Fiziev likes. He likes a Muay Thai striking battle. You know, like, yeah, a little bit of clinch and dirty boxing mixed in there. It doesn't go well with a guy like Gaethje because that's just a different opponent, as we've seen with the Ilia fight. But a guy that's going to really blitz him and put the sauce on him like Manuel Torres, like starting in round 1, I don't think that Rafael Fiziev is going to deal with that well. Like, he's been sniped by Mauricio Hufi, but that's a chess match. But Mauricio Hufi's just really good at that type of chess match. And these are even odds right here. I think they should be even odds, actually. Because I think that Rafael Fiziev's good. You know, he's a shorter guy, but he's able to manage the distance. Not very long. Actually, he does have a pretty decent reach for his height, but Manuel Torres does reach Magomedov by 2 inches along with the height advantage. Dude, I think that Manuel Torres is just going to come out there guns blazing, and he's going to do Rafael Fiziev badly. I think that's what's going to happen, man. I think that he's going to make Rafael Fiziev crumple up because Rafael Fiziev in the clinch he can try to elbow, but I think Manuel Torres is probably going to manhandle him in that clinch position as well. And I mean, I could see, like, the way that I could see Rafael Fiziev winning is by making this dirty, somehow managing the distance, using footwork a lot, having great cardio. And he looks to be, I think that they've recently taken the pictures for this. Yeah, they have. So he looks in good shape for this fight. he looks in actually better shape. He should be at featherweight, honestly. I think he should be at featherweight because he's 5'8", and he would be a good featherweight. I think he would be like a damn near top 5 featherweight. He'd be very good, but he's just too small for this weight class. And I think he's going to get dominated by a guy like Manuel Torres, who's just going to come out there guns blazing in round 1. That's what I think. I think Manuel Torres is just going to, overwhelm him with his blitzing style, with his power. I think that's what's going to happen. Manuel Torres is going to get this one done by round 1 KO. I could see it going into round 2, but if it goes into round 2, I don't think Manuel Torres is going to have the steam on him to be able to weather that storm. He's going to be a guy that's going to try to chase this finish. Now, I don't think Rafael Fiziev is going to be a tough enough guy to dog out the power and the precision of Manuel Torres and how he hits you on the chin. It's a different matchup than Gaethje, who's just like going to batter you and hit you in the clinch with these uppercuts and, throw overhands that don't have much power on them, but they feel really hard. It's just a different matchup. And I think that Manuel Torres is going to exploit this opportunity. He's going to get the KO in round 1. As I've already said many times, yeah, pretty decent card. Could be better. There were a lot of fights that actually came off this card. Vittori pulled out with a rib injury. But I'm expecting good things from this card. I think there will be a few finish on here. I think that the prelims are not going to be so great. I think that there's going to be a lot of decisions on the prelim. But once we get here, I think submission, decision, KO, and KO. So, and then here, I think that, you guys already know all my opponents that I just went over, that I'm going to be picking, all the fighters that I'm going to be picking. Magomedov, Aliskerov, Almabayev, Sadykhov, Shar Magomedov, and Manuel Torres. And then down here, we're picking Hasanov by decision, Yakhyaev by KO, Ruziboev by decision. We're going to go Ofli by decision. And then Daniil Donchenko by KO, Almakhan by decision, Nascimento by decision. There you go. Like and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're going to be streaming tonight. Actually, you know what? I'm dropping this after the stream, so make sure to tune in to the stream. And this will be out after the stream. So this is going to be out after the stream. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the stream if you tuned in. Because we're going to be, we will have played UFC 6, and, we're going to be having a good time on stream. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Follow my socials at the JJ MMA. I'll see you later, and until next time, goodbye.